Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Igcse Biology Help. In today's video, I'm going to be solving the chemistry paper 2. This is the May-June 2023, the variant 2 exam. Make sure to subscribe to my channel and like my videos so you can receive more content like this. Let's start solving. Question number 1 says, 4 physical changes of ethanol are listed. In which changes do the particles move further apart? So we know if they move further apart, that means that they are gaining energy. And when they gain energy, that means that the particles, instead of being stuck together, they will be very far apart. So we're going to be seeing which changes they gain energy. This is first of all boiling and also evaporation. So our answer is going to be C. Number 2, an atom of element X contains 5 protons, 6 neutrons, and 5 electrons. Which statements about element X are correct? Number 1 says X has an atomic number of 6. Atomic number means the number of protons, but over here it states that it actually has 5 protons. So this is not a correct statement. Number 2 says X has a nucleon number of 11. Nucleon number means the number of neutrons and protons. If you calculate 6 plus 5, this will give you 11. So this is actually a correct statement. 3 says X is in group 2 of the periodic table. So we know that it has 5 protons, and this is actually the element boron. It is not in group 2, it is in group 3. So this is again an incorrect statement. 4, X is in the second period of the periodic table. Boron over here is actually in the second period because we know that helium is in period 1. And this is period 2, starting with the period that contains lithium. It goes like this, in this way. So yes, it is in period 2. So our answer over here, the statement is correct. So our answer is going to be D because this is number 2 and 4. 3. Ammonia is a covalent molecule. Which diagram shows the outer shell electron arrangement in a molecule of ammonia? So over here we can see that A shows an incorrect diagram because N does not have, or the nitrogen does not have, a full outer shell. It only has 6 electrons in its outer shell, and it is supposed to be 8, not 6. So this is incorrect. B over here shows that the helium has more than 1 electron, and we know that the helium only has 1 electron, so this is also incorrect. C over here shows that the nitrogen has 8 electrons because there's 2 more added electrons. This makes it 8, and the helium only has 1 electron. This is a correct diagram, so our answer is going to be C. 4. Which structure does silicon IV oxide most closely resemble? This is actually a diamond. We know that they both have giant covalent structures. 5. Substance P conducts electricity when solid. Which particles move in solid P so that it can conduct electricity? We know that electrons move inside, so our answer is going to be D because only electrons move inside, so it can conduct electricity. Number 6, which equation represents a chemical change? A shows us that there was barium chloride, it was a solid, and then it became a liquid. This is actually not a chemical change, because it was solid and then it just melted into a liquid. This is just a change in the state of matters. B shows us that there was calcium that was aqueous and sulfur oxide, which is also aqueous. It produced a solid calcium sulfur oxide. This is actually a chemical change because they were both aqueous and they produced a solid. And this is a new product as well. So actually our answer is going to be B. Now some people wanted to choose D because it is similar to B. They were both aqueous, but in the end they produced an aqueous product. So this is not a new product. 7. Which sample contains the largest number of molecules? So over here we have to calculate the moles, which is mass, over the molecular number. So I have already calculated the molecular number for each of them. We're going to just divide the mass over here, which is 16, over the molecular mass, which is 16. So this is going to give us 1. So this is 1 mole. And again, for the oxygen, we're going to do the same thing. You're going to divide the mass, which is 16, over the molecular mass, which is 32, and you're going to calculate that on your calculator. It's going to give you half, so this is half a mole. And again, for the phosphorus, you're going to do the same thing, 16 over 124. This is going to give you 0.129 moles. And for this one, you're going to use the gas. You're going to be using another formula, which we know, which is over here 24. And this is the volume, and this is the moles. So we already have the volume, which is 16 decimeter, and you're going to divide that over the 24, and you're going to get 0.666 moles. So actually the highest number of moles over here is the 1 mole, which belongs to the 16 grams of methane. So our answer is going to be A. Number 8, the concentration of a sample of dilute aqueous sodium hydroxide is found by titration. The apparatus used is shown. Which information is needed to calculate the concentration of dilute aqueous sodium hydroxide in mole per decimeter cubed? So actually in this question, we will need the concentration of the hydrochloric acid as well as the volume, and also we will need the volume of the sodium hydroxides used so we can compare each of them together. You will not need the molar mass because we are not calculating moles, we are just calculating the concentration over here. So also we will not need the molar mass of the hydrochloric acid. So our answer is going to be B. Number 9, in experiment 1, aqueous copper 2 sulfate is electrolyzed using graphite electrodes. In experiment 2, aqueous copper 2 sulfate is electrolyzed using copper electrodes. Which statement identifies a half equation for a reaction at one of these electrodes? So actually we know at any anode there is losing of electrons, and at any cathode we have gaining of electrons. And also the graphite, this one, is actually inert, which means that it does not react, and the copper is actually reactive, so it may affect the results. So first of all, I'm going to do the electrolyzation of for experiment 1, which is this one. We know that first of all we have copper 2, and we have hydrogen, and also we have the sulfate, and we also have the OH, which is the hydroxide. So over here we know that the copper is less reactive than the hydrogen, so it's going to be displaced over here. So our reaction will be like this. So this is the cathode reaction. In the anode, there will be the hydroxide, and the reaction will be as shown. This is with all the balancing. So this is the reaction. So actually, let's see A. In experiment 1, the half equation for the anode reaction is the one that I wrote up here. So this is actually a correct statement because we know that this is aqueous, which means the water, the hydroxide of the water will be released. And if it's concentrated, then the sulfur will be released, because over here we take down the most concentrated, or the most quantity. So if there's more water, if it's aqueous solution, there's more water, then the hydroxide over here will be displaced. And if it's concentrated, then there's more sulfur, then it will be displaced. So actually our answer is going to be A over here because this is a correct statement. Number 10, which substance is not produced during the electrolysis of concentrated aqueous sodium chloride? So over here we know that this is concentrated, so we have sodium over here and chloride, and we also have the hydrogen and the hydroxide. So I will not be doing the equations because it is not needed. So over here we know that the hydrogen will be produced because this is the less reactive, and over here the chlorine will be produced because it is the higher quantity. There is more chlorine than water because this is concentrated, as I said. So hydrogen chloride will be produced, and actually there will not be any sodium produced in this equation. It is just hydrogen and chloride. So our answer is going to be C because there's no sodium. Question number 11, methane burns in excess oxygen. The equation is shown. Bond energies are shown. What is the energy change for the reaction? So over here we have, first of all, you're going to have to calculate the bond energy that was on this side, which is the left side, and then you're going to calculate also on the right side, and you're going to be subtracting the left side from the right side. So let's start calculating. So we have CH and 4 hydrogens. So I'm just going to draw it to make it easier for you to understand. So we have just like this. We have 4 of the CH bonds, because we have the first one is this bond, and then this bond, and this one, and this one. So you're going to multiply 410 by 4, because we have 4 bonds, and also we have 2 oxygen bonds, which are double bonds. So you're going to be multiplying 2 by 496. You're going to be calculating that on your calculator, and we're going to do the other side over here, and it shows that we have, for example, carbon dioxide, which is like this. For example, you can draw it in any way, but this indicates that we have two of the C double bond O. So you're going to be multiplying 2 by 805, and then we have 2 water molecules. So this means that we have 4 of the OH molecules. So you're going to multiply 4 by 460, and you're going to calculate both of these on the calculator. So over here in our options, we can see that this is just what we have. I have made 4 multiplied by the 410 plus 2 of the plus 2 times 496. This is the exact same thing that I've done, and you're going to minus, as I said, you're going to subtract the right side from the left side, as I just explained. So our answer is going to be A. 12. Which change increases the rate of the reaction by decreasing the activation energy? Actually, you're going to decrease the activation energy by adding a catalyst. So our answer is going to be A. 13. In the contact process, sulfur dioxide is reacted with oxygen to form sulfur trioxide. Which conditions are used in this reaction? So we know that the contact process, it uses the catalyst of vanadium V oxide. So D and A are going to be incorrect, because the catalyst is not iron. And we know that the pressure used is actually 200, and we know that the temperature is 450. So our answer is going to be C. 14. Which reaction is reversible? So we know reversible reaction is a physical change, which means, for example, if you freeze water and you melt it again, then you still have your water. There's no new product formed. It's just a change of the physical state. So A says an iron nail rusting when left in moist air. This is a chemical reaction, because there is new product formed. So this is not reversible reaction. You cannot return it back to its original state. B says limestone reacting with an acid to form carbon dioxide gas. Again, this is an irreversible reaction, because there's a new product formed, which is the carbon dioxide gas. C is magnesium burning in air to produce white ash. The same thing, there's a new product formed. D says white anhydrous copper 2 sulfate turning blue when water is added. This is actually a reversible reaction, because we know that an anhydrous copper 2 sulfate, it turns blue when there's water. So when it's hydrated, you can return it back to its original state, which is anhydrous, by heating it. So you'll still have your powder, and there's no new product formed. So our answer is going to be D. 15. The equation for the reaction of sulfur dioxide with acidified potassium dichromate is shown. What is oxidized and what is oxidizing agent? We know if something is oxidized, that means it gains oxygen, and oxidizing agent is something that loses oxygen, but it makes something else gain the oxygen. So over here we can see that the sulfur oxide, it had 6 oxygen atoms, and on this side it actually has 12 oxygen atoms. So it gained oxygen. This means that it became oxidized. So we will be choosing between A and B for now. Now for this acidified potassium dichromate, over here it had 7 oxygens, and on this side it lost all of its oxygens. So this means that it's an oxidizing agent. It made the sulfur oxide gain the oxygen, and it lost its oxygen. So actually our answer is going to be A. 16. What is the definition of a strong acid? A says a proton acceptor. This is incorrect. We know that acids are proton donors, not acceptors. So A and B are incorrect. C says a proton donor that is completely dissociated in aqueous solutions. This is correct because we know strong acids are completely dissociated, and the weak acids are partially dissociated. So our answer is going to be C. 17. Which statement about amphoteric oxides is correct? A says they are made by combining an acidic oxide and a basic oxide. This is incorrect. B says they react with water to give a solution of pH 7. This is an incorrect statement. They react with both acids and bases. This is a correct answer. So our answer is going to be C. 18. Copper 2 carbonate is formed when aqueous sodium carbonate is added to aqueous copper 2 nitrate. The ionic equation for the reaction is shown. How is pure copper 2 carbonate obtained from the reaction mixture? So over here, we know that first of all we will filter the solution. So A and B are incorrect. And next after you're going to filter out, there is going to be washing so that you remove any impurities, and then you're going to dry it. So our answer is going to be D. 19. Q and R are elements in the same period of the periodic table. Q has 7 electrons in its outer shell and R has 2 electrons in its outer shell. Which statement about Q and R is correct? So over here, if something has 7 electrons in its outer shell, that means that it is valency -1, which means that it will gain an electron so that it can be 8 electrons. And we know when we have 8 electrons in its outer shell, then it is full outer shell. R has 2 electrons in its outer shell. It's going to give away two of these electrons so that it can have a full outer shell. So we're going to check our periodic table. So in the periodic table, for example, if we have elements that are in the same period, that means, for example, from lithium until neon, this is period 2. So as we can see that the proton number from lithium until neon across the period, as we move on from left to right, the proton numbers are increasing. So over here in the question, it says which statement about Q and R is correct. So for example, if we have something that is having 7 electrons in its outer shell, then this will be in this area. For example, Q will be here. And if we have something that has +2, which means it will be on this side, which is on the metal side. So R is actually a metal and Q is a non-metal. So let's see the question. Q is a metal and R is a non-metal. This is actually incorrect because R is a metal and Q is the non-metal, so this is incorrect. Q and R have different numbers of electron shells. This is actually incorrect. R is found on the right side of Q in the periodic table. Actually, R is not found on the right side. It is found on the left side over here, in the metal side, which is the left side. D says the proton number of R is less than the proton number of Q. So we can see over here that the R, for example, let's say that it's in this group 2. Group 2 has lower. If something is on this side, for example, let's take an example on period 2. If there's something on this side in group 2, and then there's something in group 5, then of course group 5 will have the higher proton number than the group 2. So actually our answer is going to be D. 20. Lead-2 sulfate is an insoluble salt. Which reaction produces a mixture from which lead-2 sulfate is obtained by filtration? So actually the only thing that will produce lead-2 sulfate is D, which is adding aqueous lead-2 nitrate to dilute sulfuric acid. This will cause lead-2 sulfate to be produced as a salt. So our answer is going to be D. 21. Which statement about alkali metals is correct? A says lithium is more dense than sodium. Actually, this is an incorrect statement. It is actually the opposite. B says sodium is more reactive than potassium. This is an incorrect statement because we know that sodium and potassium, they are in group 1, and we know that reactivity down the group increases and it does not decrease. and francium over here, this is the most reactive, and lithium is the least reactive. So let's see. C says sodium has a higher melting point than potassium. Actually, this is a correct statement because we know that the melting points down the group decrease. So the highest melting point is actually lithium, and the lowest melting point is francium. It is very reactive, and it is also very hard to obtain. So actually, our answer is going to be C. 22. Which row describes the properties of a transition element? A says that there is a high melting point, there's a low density, and it does not form colored compounds. This is actually incorrect because it has a high density and its transition elements form colored compounds. So our answer is going to be B. 23. Which row identifies the properties of zinc? We know that zinc is actually a transition element. It has good thermal conductivity, and it also reacts with dilute acids. So our answer is going to be A. 24. Uses of metals depend on their properties. Which property is necessity for the use given? So over here we know that aluminum, we use it in cutlery, we use it in food containers, and we use it in all of the uses above. But we do not use aluminum in car bodies because they are ductile. But we use them in food containers because they resist corrosion. And in cutlery, we do not need to conduct heat. And in overhead electrical cables, we don't need a high density, we need a high conductivity. So actually C matches the description. 25. Which compounds both contribute to acid rain? So we know that the main thing that contributes to acid rain is actually sulfur dioxide and oxides of nitrogen. So our answer is going to be C. 26. P, Q, R, and S are metals. P reacts with dilute hydrochloric acid, forming hydrogen. Q reacts violently with water. R reacts with water to give hydrogen. S is formed by heating its oxide with carbon. Which row identifies the metals? So actually, something that reacts violently with water is going to be something in group 1, and it's going to be something like potassium, rubidium, and lithium and sodium. They react violently, but potassium it has a higher reactivity compared to lithium and sodium. So let's see. So if we have, for example, potassium, it's going to be much better than if we have, for example, lithium or sodium. So something P says that it reacts with dilute hydrochloric acid, forming hydrogen. This is actually going to be a metal, which is iron or zinc, and R reacts with water to give hydrogen. This is actually going to be something again from the group 1, and S is formed by heating its oxide with carbon. So far we have potassium for Q, and P is either zinc or iron, and R is a group 1 metal. So actually all of this fits with D. We have iron and potassium. It has the highest reactivity in this list. So the higher reactivity, there is more violent reaction with cold water. And also sodium is a group 1 element, so it would react with water and give hydrogen. So our answer is going to be D. 27. Which compound is formed when iron rusts? This is actually going to be dehydrated iron oxide, because we know that rust it forms when there is presence of water and presence of oxygen, not just air. So there has to be it has to be hydrated because it has water, and there is oxide, which is oxygen. 28. Why is cryolite used in the extraction of aluminum by electrolysis? This is actually to dissolve the aluminum oxide, which is A. 29. A wax candle is made from a mixture of hydrocarbons. The candle is lit and placed in a gas jar along with a strip of coupled to chloride test paper as shown. After a short time, the oxygen in the jar is used up and the candle flame goes out. Which substance does the coupled to chloride paper identify? We know that the coupled to chloride paper actually is used to test for water, so our answer is going to be D. 30. The hydrocarbon C4H8 has two structural isomers, butyl-1-ene and butene. Which statement is correct? A says butyl-ene has the structural formula and the same general formula as butane. Actually, this is an incorrect answer because, first of all, butane belongs to the alkanes and butene belongs to the alkenes. So actually, this is a different homologous series. B, on the other hand, says butene has the structural formula and the same empirical formula as ethane. Actually, this is a correct answer because they have the same empirical formula, not general formula, and they also have they share the same homologous series, which is alkenes, and so this is the correct answer. So our answer is going to be B. 31. Which compound rapidly decolorizes aqueous bromine? So we know aqueous bromine is a test for double bond. So we're going to be choosing something that has double bonds, which is D. 32. What are the products of the addition reactions of ethene with bromine and hydrogen? So over here we can see that in the bromine, we're going to have something like A and B, not like C and D. So basically we're going to be choosing from A and B. Now for the hydrogen addition reaction, it is actually going to be A because addition means that you're going to be adding an extra element or extra something to your already existing molecule. So actually we know that the general formula is C, for example, Cn and H2n. So for example, if you have C2, then it's going to be H4 because it's going to be double the amount that is in the carbons. So B shows that we don't have an addition reaction going on, it is just the same. So actually our answer is going to be A because we added hydrogen to the reaction. 33. Ethanol is manufactured by fermentation and catalytic addition of steam to ethene, which row describes an advantage of both methods. So all the methods that are stated in A, B, and C for the fermentation, they are actually disadvantages, not advantages. The only advantage is in D, which is renewable resources are used, so that is going to be our answer. 34. Methanoic acid and propanol react to form an ester. What is the structural formula of the ester? So over here, the first formula that I've written down, this is actually for the methanoic acid. And the second one is for the propanol. And over here, we can see in A that both of these formulas, they are present. So our answer is going to be A. 35. What is the correct structure of PAT? This is actually B. So our answer is going to be B. 36. Alkanes undergo substitution reactions in the presence of UV light. Which equation represents a substitution reaction of ethane? So in A, as we can see that there is no chlorine that was bonded to the other side of the equation in the products, so this is not our answer. B shows us that there was chlorine that bonded with, there was 6 hydrogen atoms and it became 5, and the last one, it was replaced with a chlorine, and also that hydrogen bonded with the remaining chlorine molecule that was in the second part of the equation. So actually our answer is going to be B because this shows us that there is a substitution reaction. 38. Rock salt is a mixture of salt and sand. The method used to separate the sand from the salt is listed. Step 1. Crush the rock salt. Add to warm water and stir. Step 2. Pour the mixture through a filter paper held in a funnel. Step 3. Evaporate the water to crystallize the salt. Which statement about the method is correct? A says the filtrate in step 2 is pure water. Actually, it is not pure water because there is salt with it. B says the residue in step 2 is pure crystals of salt. Actually, this is an incorrect statement because in step 2 there is no pure crystals of salt that are made yet. They are made after evaporating the water. C, the solute is a salt. Actually, this is a correct statement because you're going to be evaporating that afterwards to produce the crystallization of the salt. So our answer is going to be C. 39. Two compounds M and N are dissolved in water and separated by chromatography. The results are shown. What is the RF value of M and which compound is most soluble in water? So over here, to calculate the RF value, you're going to be dividing 2 over 10, because this is the amount, this is the distance that is moved by this drop, and the total distance that is moved by the whole solvent is 10. So you're going to be dividing those over each other. It's going to give you 0.2. So you're going to be choosing between A and B, not C and D. So over here, the most soluble compound is the one that moves the highest, it moves the highest distance. So N is, we can see that N moved higher than M. That means that it's more soluble. So our answer is going to be B. 40. When acid is added to salt X, a gas is produced which turns lime water milky. This indicates that there is carbon dioxide. When sodium hydroxide is added to salt X, a gas is produced which turns red litmus paper blue. What is X? So this indicates that there is ammonia as well. So this is actually going to be ammonia with carbon dioxide, which is going to be B. So this was our end of our exam. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe and like so you can receive more content like this. And good luck with your exams.